Every morning when you open your eyes, before you reach for your phone, before you check who texted you, before you scroll through the lies of comparison on social media, stop. Because the first voice you hear in the morning has the power to dominate every other voice throughout the day. You've got to learn to speak to yourself before the world speaks to you. You've got to prophesy over your day, over your family, over your business, over your destiny. Because if you don't, life will assign you a script, and you will act out a role that was never yours to play. There are 5 things I say to myself every single morning, and I challenge you to start saying them too. These aren't cute affirmations. These are declarations. These are weapons. These are truths that rewire your mind, redirect your focus, and realign your spirit. And if you'll say these 5 things every morning, you'll begin to experience a shift in your energy, your income, your relationships, and your results. The first thing you need to say is this: I was created with purpose, on purpose, for a purpose. I'm not an accident. I'm not a statistic. I'm not what happened to me. I am a divine solution to a specific problem in the world. When you know you were created with purpose, you stop entertaining distractions. You stop begging for validation. You stop chasing trends, because purpose will never ask you to pretend. Second, say this: I command my mind to agree with my mission. Your mind is powerful, but it is programmable. And most people's minds are running on autopilot, rehearsing old fears, broken beliefs, and recycled trauma. But when you wake up and command your thoughts to line up with your assignment, you break the cycle. You tell your mind, today you're not leading me, I'm leading you. I don't care how I feel, I know what I'm called to do. Third, speak this over your life: everything I need, I already have, or it's already on the way. Lack is a lie. Scarcity is a system built to keep you stuck. But when you believe you already have access to everything required to fulfill your purpose, you start walking different. You start giving. You start sowing. You start expecting. Because expectation is the atmosphere where miracles are born. Fourth, say it with your chest: I forgive myself and release all guilt, shame, and regret. You cannot walk into new levels carrying old labels. You're not who you were, and even if you did what they said, you're not what they say. Grace is not just forgiveness of sins, it's empowerment to win. So you forgive, you release, and you rise, because guilt will keep you grounded, but forgiveness will let you fly. And fifth, this one is everything: today I will act like the person I'm becoming, not the person I've been. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. Every time you speak, think, and move like your future self, you're collapsing the timeline between who you are and who you're called to be. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until it looks like it's working. You act by faith. You build like it's already finished. You walk like you already won, because that's what high-level people do. Now hear me, it's not about hype. It's not about pretending. It's about practicing power. Because the same way you brush your teeth to protect your health, you declare these truths to protect your spirit. You don't have to feel it, you just have to say it. You don't have to believe it yet. You just have to repeat it until belief is built. Because repetition is the mother of transformation. So tomorrow morning, before you scroll, before you react, before you rehearse defeat, declare your destiny. Speak life, speak victory, speak purpose. Because what you say to yourself every morning is what your life will start saying back to you. Let's go. You are your first prophet every day. That means the words you speak over your life carry more weight than any sermon, any motivational video, or any advice someone else gives you. You wake up and the first voice you hear isn't your pastor's. It isn't your mentor's. It's yours. And the truth is, most people are prophesying defeat, fear, and failure over their lives before they even get out of bed. They say things like, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not ready. And then they wonder why their day follows that script. Because your words are seeds and your life is the harvest. When a real prophet speaks, they don't describe what is, they declare what will be. And that's what you must do every morning. You don't wake up and confirm your circumstances, you confront them. You look your reality in the face and speak something higher. You don't say what you see, You say what you're sent to create. That's the power of a prophet. And whether you realize it or not, every time you open your mouth, you're shaping your future. Your words are forming your focus. Your language is framing your life. And here's the truth. You believe your own voice more than you believe anyone else's. Someone else can tell you you're powerful, and it might encourage you for a moment, but when you tell you that you're powerful, something shifts on the inside. Something ignites, something awakens, because deep down, your spirit recognizes your voice. It knows the sound of your conviction. It knows when you're serious. So when you speak life over yourself, your inner man rises up and gets in alignment with your assignment. That's why you can't afford to speak carelessly, especially in the morning, because morning words become mental orders. Morning declarations set spiritual direction, and if the first words out of your mouth are worry, lack, or self-doubt, don't be surprised when your day bends in that direction. But if the first thing you declare is truth, purpose, power, and identity, your entire day has no choice but to rise to meet your words. So stop waiting on someone to speak over you. Stop waiting on perfect conditions. Stop needing external confirmation. You are your first prophet. That means your mouth is your miracle tool. Your voice is your atmosphere shifter. Your tongue is the pen that writes your next chapter. Speak wisely, speak boldly, speak intentionally, because what you prophesy today will become your reality tomorrow. Morning declarations override midnight doubts. Because while the world sleeps, doubt works the night shift. It creeps into your thoughts when it's dark, when you're tired, when you're alone. That's when fear likes to whisper the loudest. You're not enough. You're behind. You're failing. Midnight is the hour of hidden battles. It's when the mind replays mistakes, magnifies problems, and minimizes progress. That's why so many people wake up heavy, not because of what's happening around them, but because of what's been rehearsed within them during the night. But here's the key. Just because doubt showed up at midnight doesn't mean it gets to ride with you all day. Morning is your reset. Morning is your chance to take authority. Morning is when you interrupt the cycle. When you speak truth at the start of the day, you cancel every lie that tried to plant itself in the night. When you make bold declarations in the morning, you take back control. You realign your mind, redirect your emotions, and reestablish your identity. Your declarations don't have to sound deep. They don't have to be long, but they do have to be real. They have to come from a place of intentionality and belief. Even if your voice is shaking, even if your body's tired, even if doubt is still knocking, you speak anyway, because the moment you declare truth, darkness has to retreat. You can't think your way out of fear, but you can speak your way into faith. And here's the thing, fear hates the light. And your words are light. Your voice, charged with faith, is a spiritual weapon. When you declare who you are, whose you are, and where you're going, you silence the voice that says you're stuck. Morning declarations are not just motivational phrases, they are spiritual war cries. They are the sound of someone refusing to be ruled by yesterday. So every time doubt tries to remind you of what you're not, remind it of who you are. Every time fear whispers, answer back with power. Don't let your morning be passive. Make it prophetic. Say what needs to be said. Declare what needs to be heard. Because the louder your truth in the morning, the quieter the lies become the rest of the day. You're not at the mercy of midnight. You're not a victim of your thoughts. You are the voice that sets the tone, that shifts the atmosphere, that tells your day how it's going to go. And when you open your mouth with bold, faithful declarations, every trace of last night's doubt begins to lose its grip. Speak it, declare it, override it, because your morning voice is louder than your midnight fear when you use it. Powerful people speak on purpose. They don't open their mouths just to make noise, they speak to make moves. Every word has weight, every sentence has strategy. They understand that speech isn't just communication, it's creation. They don't waste words because they know words are tools. Tools that build, shift, unlock, and open. The average person talks for reaction, but powerful people speak for results. When powerful people speak, they're not just describing their situation, they're defining their reality. They're not echoing fear, they're declaring faith. They don't talk about what they can't do, what they don't have, or what isn't working. They use their words to prophesy the solution, to command peace, to direct focus. They don't speak to fit in, they speak to stand out. They understand that language leads behavior, and what comes out of your mouth shows up in your life. Most people speak based on how they feel, but powerful people speak based on what they believe. Feelings come and go, but truth doesn't change. You might wake up tired, but you can still speak strength. You might feel uncertain, but you can still declare confidence. Power comes when your words lead your emotions, not when your emotions lead your words. Weak speech produces weak decisions, but intentional speech births intentional action. Powerful people also speak before things shift, not just after. They speak while the problem is still present. They speak in the tension, in the chaos, in the uncertainty. That's what makes their words powerful. Anybody can talk victory after the win, but the ones who move mountains are the ones who speak while standing in front of them. They don't wait for proof, they create it with their voice. And here's the secret. Power isn't proven by volume. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to be clear, focused, deliberate. A quiet whisper from a person with purpose carries more authority than a scream from someone without it. Because it's not the sound that moves things, it's the spirit behind it. Purpose gives words precision, and precision produces results. So if you want to walk in power, stop speaking carelessly. Speak with direction. Speak with faith. Speak like your words are being recorded, because they are. The universe hears. Your mind hears. Your habits hear. Speak as if every word is setting something in motion, because it is. Powerful people don't wait for permission to speak on purpose. They understand their purpose, so they speak with power. Identity precedes activity. Before you can do anything consistently, you must first become someone internally. Your actions will always follow your assumptions about who you are. That's why you can't just try to change your behavior. You have to shift your identity. If you see yourself as undisciplined, you'll sabotage progress. If you see yourself as a failure, you'll retreat when success knocks. But when you see yourself as chosen, capable, and called, your actions start to align with that identity. Most people are trying to behave their way into belief. They think, if I just do more, maybe I'll become more. But it doesn't work like that. Doing doesn't change being. Being changes doing. When you believe you're a leader, you'll speak like one. You'll show up like one. You'll make decisions like one. But if you still identify with who you were, the quitter, the inconsistent one, the doubter, no matter what you try to do, your old identity will pull you back into old patterns. That's why transformation starts with how you see yourself, not how others see you, not even how you feel. Identity is deeper than feelings. It's your rooted belief about who you are. And until that changes, your activity won't stick. You can buy a planner, hire a coach, listen to 100 motivational speeches, but if your self-concept is broken, none of it will hold. Because identity determines direction. Identity drives discipline. Identity shapes decision-making. If you want to change your activity, speak to your identity. Declare who you are before you see evidence. That's not faith, that's faith. You're not lying to yourself when you say, I am focused, even if you've been distracted. You're speaking to the future version of you and pulling that person into the present. The you that's disciplined, the you that's consistent, the you that doesn't fold when it's hard. That version of you already exists, but you have to call it forward with your words and confirm it with your choices. This is why many people fall into cycles, because they're trying to perform without becoming, they're hustling without healing, they're chasing results while still clinging to an identity rooted in insecurity, guilt, or fear. But once you upgrade your identity, your activity starts to rise automatically. You stop negotiating with distractions. You stop shrinking around opportunity. You stop doubting your decisions. Why? Because when you know who you are, you stop questioning what you should do. So decide who you are, not based on your past, but on your purpose. Not based on your performance, but on your potential. Speak it daily, reinforce it consistently, and let your identity lead your activity. Because when you see yourself correctly, everything you do begins to reflect it. Faith-filled speech is a spiritual strategy. It's not just positive thinking or motivational talk, it's warfare. When you speak by faith, you are doing more than encouraging yourself. You are engaging in battle with every force that's trying to keep you average, silent, and stuck. Faith-filled words are weapons. They pierce through fear. They cancel doubt. They unlock divine favor. Every time you speak faith, you shift something in the spirit realm, even if nothing moves in the natural yet. This is why the enemy doesn't fight your silence, he fights your speech. Because your silence agrees with your situation, but your speech declares your transformation. Faith-filled speech isn't based on what you see, it's based on what God said. It's not about describing your current condition, it's about declaring your God-given position. You might be in the valley, but your words declare the mountain. You might be in lack, but your mouth declares overflow. You might feel weak, but your tongue speaks strength. Why? Because faith doesn't report the facts, it releases the future. Speaking faith is not ignoring reality, it's confronting it with authority. It's standing in the middle of the storm and saying, "Peace, be still." It's walking around the walls of Jericho and shouting before they fall. It's looking at dry bones and calling them to live. That's not wishful thinking, that's divine strategy. Because the kingdom doesn't operate by sight, it operates by speech. God didn't build the world with his hands, he built it with his voice. And you're created in his image, which means your voice carries creative power too. Every time you open your mouth in faith, you're aligning yourself with heaven, you're inviting supernatural intervention, you're commanding your soul to get in line, you're building confidence in your spirit. And here's the thing, your brain may not believe it the first time, your emotions may not feel it, but that's why it's a strategy. You repeat it until your belief catches up with your words. Faithful speech also sets boundaries. It tells depression, you can't live here. It tells poverty, you're not welcome here. It tells anxiety, you don't run this house. It shifts the environment in your home, your business, your relationships. You don't have to shout, you just have to mean it. Because authority isn't in volume, it's in conviction. And faithful speech only works when it's spoken with full expectation. So stop waiting to feel bold, speak bold anyway. Stop waiting for perfect circumstances. Speak powerfully in the middle of imperfection. Use your voice as a strategy, not to vent, not to complain, not to echo problems, but to activate promises. That's the power of faithful speech. It doesn't just talk, it transforms. It doesn't just hope, it creates. It doesn't just react, it rules. Speak with strategy and watch everything around you begin to shift. Discipline begins with decision reinforced by declaration. Nothing changes until a decision is made. A real one, not a wish, not a hope, a decision. The kind that draws a line in the sand and says, no more playing small, no more procrastinating, no more halfway effort. That's where discipline starts. Not in your schedule, not in your planner, not in your feelings, in your decision. Because until you decide who you are and what you're committed to, your life will be driven by distraction. But a decision alone isn't enough. It has to be spoken and has to be reinforced by your own voice day after day. That's why declaration matters. When you declare your discipline, you lock in your decision. You build a mental contract with your future. Every morning you declare who you are and what you do. Not based on what you feel like, but based on what you've chosen. You say, I am focused. I am consistent. I show up even when it's hard. And every time you say it, your brain starts to believe it more. Your body begins to respond. Your habits begin to shift. Most people think discipline is about willpower. It's not. Willpower runs out. But identity is backed decisions, reinforced by repeated declarations. That's what creates consistency. That's what creates habits that don't depend on mood. When you speak your commitment, you hear it. And when you hear it, you believe it. And when you believe it, you start living it without needing to be reminded every 5 minutes. Discipline is a seed, and your declaration is the water. Your words are what keep your decision alive, especially when motivation fades. Because you won't always feel like being disciplined. You won't always feel inspired. But if you've made a real decision and you're reminding yourself daily with your mouth, you don't need a feeling, you just need obedience. You follow through because you've already declared that follow through is who you are. And that's the secret. Discipline isn't just something you do, it's someone you become. The moment you tie it to your identity and you reinforce it with intentional words, it becomes your default. You don't have to hype yourself up anymore. You don't have to beg for energy. You just act according to what you've already decided and declared. So if you want real discipline, make a decision. Then declare that decision every day like your future depends on it, because it does. Let your words be your reminder, your reinforcement, your anchor. That's how discipline is born. That's how it grows. That's how it sticks. Decision starts it. Declaration sustains it. And together, they shape the life you were born to live. So hear me clearly. Every morning, before the world speaks to you, you must speak to you. You are your first prophet. What you declare sets the tone, not just for your day, but for your destiny. Midnight may bring doubt, but your morning voice overrides it with power. And powerful people don't speak by accident. They speak on purpose because they understand that faith-filled speech is a spiritual strategy, not just a motivational tool. You don't become disciplined by chance. You become disciplined through decision, and you reinforce that decision through declaration. Your mouth is the steering wheel of your life. Your words are not just sounds, they're signals, they're seeds, they're swords. What you speak over yourself consistently will either keep you bound or set you free. So today and every day after, speak life, speak truth, speak purpose, speak the identity that produces the activity. Speak before you see it, believe before you feel it, and move like it's already done, because the future belongs to those who declare it before it arrives. You are powerful, you are focused, you are disciplined, and you are becoming everything you were created to be, one declaration at a time.